Hello and welcome back. No. Oh boy. Oh boy. Why is this so challenging today? I know why it's challenging. Okay, let's get right into it. I know why it's challenging because it is a challenging subject. It is so challenging that I've made notes. I've made notes on this, oh no, it goes like this, on this wonderful receipt to kind of, no, but it's, you know what, this is a subject that I am very excited to talk about. So how are we gonna go about this? I was thinking about making this video, and the first thing that came to my mind was just that I'm gonna go on a crazy rage rant about how messed up our society is. So anyways, today's topic is mirror work. And mirror work is something that I learned about right after my divorce. I don't know how, but like around the time when I decided to leave the relationship and the country and the life and everything, I just somehow Louise Hay came into my life, and I just kind of started, I don't know if it was like YouTube videos or maybe her website, or I have no idea how I actually got to the material, to the book Mirror Work, but I did, and maybe someone recommended it to me, I don't remember, but basically I tried to do it and it was fucking hard at the time. So basically at that time I was at my worst ever. Like, I have struggled with how do you call it, I guess self-image, I guess like your looks. Like definitely when I was a teenager, let's see, let's look at the history of my struggles with my looks. I think the first thing, I think as a child I kind of never felt pretty, and I remember like not caring about it at all until it started to become like a social thing where you know, you're kind of grouped together with other girls, and then you start to compare, and you're like, well, like people say they're pretty, no one says I'm pretty. So then you start to have this like idea of like, oh well, I guess I'm not pretty, you know. And I remember kind of when I was, I guess 6 or 7, probably like around the time when school started, the first self-consciousness item on my list was my teeth. And I remember someone at school said that I have yellow teeth, and it just destroyed me. Like someone said I have yellow teeth like a pig, and and it just, I remember getting home and just looking in the mirror and being like, oh my god, my teeth are horribly yellow. And it just started an obsession with like brushing my teeth, which led to me having like fucking receding gums later on because I was so obsessed with like brushing my teeth. And I remember having this like children's toothpaste that like tasted like chewing gum, and I was like, fuck, like it's this children's toothpaste that is making my teeth yellow. If I just use the adult's toothpaste, then my teeth would not be yellow because this shit clearly doesn't work. And then I must have switched to adult toothpaste. But yeah, and then obviously like later on my teeth were not yellow anymore because I was brushing like a freaking maniac. But that was like the first thing. And then I remember the second thing on the list was my nose. And I remember just kind of like looking in the mirror and just being like, oh my god, like what can I do? Like when can I get a nose job? I don't know if I was directly thinking about a nose job, but I remember like pinching my nose, and this might be the reason why my nose goes like this now. Like my nostrils are completely messed up. But I would like pinch it and like try to make it straight and like push it up. And yeah, that might explain why my nostrils are fucked up. For many years I remember looking in the mirror and just being like, oh fuck this nose. And what else? I mean, I don't know, like my skin, like not having the right body type. Like when I was preteen, I was so freaking flat and skinny. And then I remember kind of like, you know, getting aware of, you know, like boys and like I think like the first thing that was kind of on the list was just like boys like big butts, you know, like you need to have a butt. Like I don't have a butt. And then the other thing is my feet. Like I still have ugly feet. Like there's nothing to do, nothing I can possibly do about that. But the point is that we live in a society where I don't know, I feel like women are almost like encouraged to find things on their bodies that they don't like, you know. It's like I don't know, I just think it's really, really messed up. And even nowadays I still notice that like for example, like this morning I was thinking, I saw my boyfriend and he was on Instagram and I saw a picture, like this is so embarrassing. I saw a picture of 3 girls in bikinis at the beach, you know, like with, you know, like this freaking American style of like perfect hair, perfect makeup, you know, like a freaking painted face, you know, like chiseled body, like tan. And I was just thinking like, of course it's not great for men either. Like men have to work really hard to have nice bodies, but that's all they fucking have to do. Like they don't have to have nice bodies and fucking spend an hour, you know, like doing their hair, like curling it to have perfect locks, and then like going to the hairdressers and spending like, what is it, like if you were gonna get your hair dyed and like get those perfect highlights and all of that shit, like it takes at least 6 hours. Like guys go to the hairdressers and they spend a maximum of 15 minutes there and then they're done. Like they never fucking have to do their makeup. Like it's just, oh my god, it's so deeply unfair. And then it's like, you know, like sometimes I think like, you know what, like what if I was on my freaking phone and I'm looking at, it's just not the same thing. Like if I was looking at guys, you know, like chiseled guys, like it's just a body. So it's like, okay, all you have to do is work out and have that body and you're done. Like you never have to freaking fret about your skin. You never have to count your pores. You never have to fucking tweeze your eyebrows into perfection. Like you never have to you know, like spend hours finding the perfect foundation and like learning about how to fucking paint your face. Like guys don't have to do any of that stuff. And then if as a woman you decide that you're not gonna go down that route, you're not gonna it's just like, for me for example, like I always felt like it's just not fair that women have to give away so much of their time. Like if it didn't take time, maybe I would do it. But it's taking away so much of my precious time that I could spend on productive activities. And it just really fucking annoys me that guys don't have to do that. But then at the same time, I still feel, even though that's like a completely conscious decision on my part, I still feel, oh god, like I don't know, like some kind of like a bitter aftertaste when I go out and I see either pictures or other women who are like really put together, you know, like their hair is fucking perfect, they like have perfect makeup, you know, like they're dressed to perfection, like got chiseled bodies. Like there is still some kind of it's not jealousy, I don't know, what is it, what is that feeling of, it just, it feels like you're losing a game that you never decided to play. It's like, can I just opt out of this entire game without losing? So yeah, that's my little mini rant. I don't think I'm gonna go more into like a deeper rant because it's stupid. It's just so fucking stupid. Like this whole system of having women obsessed about their looks and bodies. And it's just so deeply freaking sad that, you know, yeah. So I think like, you know, now they talk about body neutrality. It's like a focus on what your body can do, you know, but I think that's still kind of stupid, you know. It's like, why can't we just be people, creatures, humans, and like completely not think about our exterior? And the other thing that I kind of have, I mean, not issues with, it just doesn't feel natural to me. You know, like this performance of sexuality. It's like when you go out, you know, like you have to be sexy and you have to kind of like present yourself in a particular way. And then there's this like strange tying of the performing of sexiness to you feeling good about yourself, to you feeling like self-worth and confidence. It's like we have this strange connection of sexiness to confidence, which is weird. I find that very fucking weird. Like, especially if you're in a relationship, I find it very weird, the idea of going out into the public world. So I'm now gonna go out and perform, like dress in a particular way and perform myself being sexy. And then other people are going to like approve of me, validate me, and desire me. But I have no interest in these people. Like, I do not want to seduce them, but I'm technically behaving as if I want to seduce them so that they look at me and then they approve of me and then I feel good about that. Like, that logic is so fucking weird. Like, it makes no logical sense. And that's what the majority of people are doing. It's like, how does this make sense? But anyways, that is what it is. So for me, mirror work was something like just sad. First of all, I think when you start doing it, it's sad because you're like, how the fuck did I ever get here? So for me, the reason why I got there to the point where I had to do mirror work was that I was in a relationship where there was, I mean, it's even still hard for me to say it, but there was sexual dysfunction. So the man did not, wasn't interested in having sex with me. And that just destroyed me, like destroyed me. Like, I knew, mentally, I knew that most men would want to fuck me, but just the fact that like my partner, my intimate partner, does not want to have sex with me. Like, we would have sex, but it was like twice a month, like max, and that was like me really having to like beg for it, and that destroys a person. And the fact that I even like put myself in a situation like that, like it blows my mind. Like, obviously now that I'm sane, I would never ever do that again to myself. Like, I would never ever put myself in a situation where I have to like beg for it. And it's so tricky. It is really, really complicated because men, I feel, are, first of all, men are much more sensitive than they admit. So men need like a very particular type of circumstances. Like, you can't be their responsibility, you can't nag, you can't be demanding. Like, they need something like very gentle and nurturing and almost like mothering. And then when you're living together with someone, it's like, that's like hard. That's just hard to do all the fucking time, right? But to me, it seems like I don't know, men are very fucking sensitive. So like as soon as there's some kind of antagonism or some kind of a sense that the woman is dissatisfied with them, they just like lose their drive. Like they just don't want to fuck you anymore. And I, at that time, obviously didn't understand what the fuck was going on. I was just like, oh my god, like I'm with someone, like I'm young and crunchy, but like they don't want to fuck me. Like what's wrong with me? Like that was, I think, what started going on in my mind. I just felt like something must be really like off. And it was a strange confusion because I definitely felt like everyone seems to think I'm fuckable, but this person doesn't want to fuck me, and like they know me the best, right? Like they know me completely, and it's like still hard to talk about it. Still hard to talk about it. It's like I think something happened in there where there was confusion about like, is it about the looks or is it about my personality? Like, am I just like too much, or like what's wrong, you know? Do I want too much? Am I too demanding? Is it about him? Like, is he depressed? You know, what's going on? And oh god, it was a really, 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 really hard period where I just remember like being, I mean, the other thing is like also as a woman, if you're not being appreciated, and that's the other strange thing that I noticed, is like I want my partner, so like why, for example, why do women, this is completely not making any sense, so in guys' brains they think I told you you're pretty once, that's enough. Like I told you that I think you're pretty enough, like I want to fuck you, and that's enough. But in our female brains, for some reason, like we want guys to tell us we're pretty all the fucking time. And it's like, I understand that there is no logical explanation for why I want that, but I want it. And it's just very strange. It's like guys don't need us to ever tell them that they're pretty. Like why do we need guys to tell us we're pretty? I still don't understand it. So there's something very fucking strange going on. Like I still don't 100% understand it, but I think it is extremely, extremely important that we talk about it, because if we don't talk about it, then we're all fucking suffering in silence, you know? And I suffered in silence for a very fucking long time without telling anyone, because I thought it was like the world's most embarrassing thing. Like how could I ever possibly tell anyone that like my guy doesn't want to fuck me? Like that's crazy, right? Because I was like, okay, if it's not about the looks, then that means like my personality is flawed, or like I just made it to be about me instead of what it ultimately turned out to be, was that it was about him. Like he was deeply depressed, and he, you know, just understood that he was the source of my misery. and he was like, well, you're dissatisfied with our life. I failed as a man because I'm unable to make you happy, and I'm unable to provide the conditions where you can be happy, and like all of this is not working, so that means like I failed. Like there's some weird ass logic that goes on in men's brains sometimes, or like particular men's brains, like that particular man's brain. But that's just what happened to me. Like I don't know, why did I attract that? That's a good question. Like why did I attract that? But I think maybe I attracted it because I really needed to be put in a position where I would give my power away, like my self-worth, which is supposed to be self, right? It's not supposed to be like dependent on other people's worth. Me giving that away and then realizing like that's really, really fucked up. Like this is destroying me. Like I cannot even explain like how fucking shit my self-esteem was at the moment when I left the relationship. Like I was just mortified. Like I felt so deeply unattractive, and like I would look in the mirror and I would understand on a rational level that I can't possibly be like that unattractive, but just my own inner feeling was so bad. And at the same time, I was so kind of like, not lonely, but just like really like yearning for like a lover, you know, and like kind of just that feeling. Like I remember when I realized like I was so miserable in the relationship, I just remember feeling like, so I had this really nice boyfriend when I was a teenager, and I was like, God, like I can't imagine spending the rest of my life without feeling in love like that again, you know, like a real kind of like nice excitement, you know, and like passion and like romance and poetic kind of being together. Like that is something that I value so much. And I was like, God, like this is shit, you know. If this continues like this, like I'm gonna be a very fucking miserable person. And I just did not see it getting any better. I voiced my dissatisfaction. I was like, you need to do something about this. Like I can't, you know. And I just was like getting progressively more and more frustrated, because I do feel like, you know, if you are a healthy functioning female, you really do need love, and you need physical love. Like, I mean, for me at least, I know for sure that I need it. And I'm a very sexual person. Like I cannot like live with someone and only fuck them like twice a month. I just can't do it. I have no interest in living like that. Because I feel like life is beautiful. I mean, come on, like even if like conditions in life are so bad, you know, like whatever, like you have financial pressures, like you have job pressures and whatever, it's like, I mean, love, your relationship should be this like safe haven where you can go and kind of just decompress and de-stress from the pressures of life. Like to say that, oh, because, you know, like I have pressure in life, and it wasn't even like any kind of fucking real pressure, you know. It's not like we're like scraping by and like living paycheck to paycheck with no security. Like that's nonsense, you know what I mean? So everything is kind of like how you put things into perspective. And I just generally towards the end realized like this is not conditions, this is an attitude problem. And I was like, an attitude problem is something that has to do with the person, and this is not really going to change unless they want to change. And I was like, well, I'm like giving you the opportunity to change. You're not changing. You're showing like no freaking actions towards making a change. You're just continuing the way that you want to continue. And like that means I'm losing patience. And like the second that I really lost all of my patience, I was like, that's it, like I'm done, like I'm sorry, like you are just showing me that you don't care about this at all, so I'm done. And that really made me feel very free. Like to step up for myself like that was just deeply, deeply freeing. And to just kind of acknowledge myself and be like, okay, you know what, like you might be unhappy with me in many, many ways, but yeah, just to get to the point where you're like, I understand that you think there's a lot of bad things about me, and there was also a lot of criticism. Like I don't want to make this video sound like whiny or anything, but it's just what fucking happened, you know what I mean? It's just the story. And if it wasn't for that story, I would have never come to mirror work, and I would have never actually yeah, so nowadays I'm like so fucking glad that it happened. Actually, I'm so glad that all of those bad things happened, because without them I would have never been faced with the fact that I was always giving my power away. Like I was always kind of like looking to other people for acknowledgement, and like, please, please, please say that I'm good, you know, say that I pass, you know, please. And now it's just like freedom. It's like I get to say whether I pass, and I get to say whether I'm good enough, and I get to state what my standards are and what I'm actually fucking doing in this life. Like what I'm doing in this life has nothing to do with any of you people. Like you go live your life, like be happy, be free, but like leave me to be me, you know? And I would have definitely never had the kind of self-assuredness and confidence to be like that. And especially I feel like in a kind of intimate relationship, like in an intimate relationship, I definitely have a tendency to just be like kind of like people pleasing in a way. Like I just kind of want them to like me, and to, I still have that a little bit, like, but much less. So back to the idea of mirror work. So when I kind of got to the end of the relationship and I just decided like I want to feel in love again, like I don't even care if it's a relationship or whatever it is, but I just want that kind of excitement and freshness and like kind of new love, you know, like I, at the time I called it like young love. And I was like, yeah man, like I'm like what, 20, end of my 20s, like I still definitely want to feel like that, and I definitely want to I don't know. So the other thing is like I kind of got spoiled by my first boyfriend, because he was a poet and he would just like worship me. Like it was, yeah, it was so nice. But then sometimes, you know, like towards the end of that relationship, it was also kind of like, I don't know, that also somehow frizzled out. Like I also felt like, so there's like also a strange kind of discomfort. So it's like you want adoration, but you want it to be for real. Like you don't want it to just be kind of, you know, putting you on a pedestal and like turning you into some kind of an idol. Like I just want to be like real me, you know, like I don't want to. So the other thing is also, for example, like when I go on a first date, when I went on a first date with my boyfriend, it's like I will want to portray something that is like still somewhat attractive, but like quite casual, like almost no makeup. I went in freaking dirty Birkenstocks, and I'm like, you know, kind of setting the expectations lower than what I can normally provide. So normally, like, this is it. It's like t-shirt. You're not gonna get more than this. And that's the other thing where sometimes I feel a little bit pressured, like to wear particular clothes, like wear attractive clothes. Like that's another thing that really fucking annoys me. Like I want to just choose to wear t-shirts. And why does society tell me that if I want my boyfriend to be attracted to me, I have to wear tight clothes where, you know, it kind of reveals my body, and like that annoys me too. It's like I don't want to most of the time. I want to twice a month. I want to wear sexy clothes twice a month, and all the other days I want to wear my PJs. And it's like, why does society tell me that I'm not a woman and I'm not attractive if I live like that? So anyways, again, back to the mirror work. It's like I'm avoiding it. I'm avoiding it because it is hard. It is hard. So mirror work goes like this. You look in the mirror. I think the first exercise from the book is just like you look in the mirror and you see, like now for example, the first thing that I see is something that I don't like, which is I have this like crazy fold over here because I constantly sleep like this and it annoys me. But then what I would do in my mirror work practice would be to like really focus in on the eyes. And then you have to say to the mirror, you have to say, I love you. I really, really love you. And you see, like, the second that I say that is like my eyes light up, and it's like I can see the child in me. And I remember when at the beginning when I started doing this practice, like when I would look into my eyes, I would just feel very like it was like a strange feeling of sadness, you know, like when you're not accepting yourself, it just feels like, oh my god, like this is so horrible. Like I feel like my face would just kind of like wash away, and all that would be left there would be these eyes, you know, and I would kind of like see myself as this like little child, and I'd be like, god, like I would never ever, you know, say mean things to this child. I would never be mean to this child, right? Like why am I having like all of these like really negative thoughts in my head about this person, you know, like whether it's the looks or whether it's like the personality. It's like I'm made by God. Like, I mean, I must be perfect, right? Like, now I see it that way for sure. And the other thing that I really wanted to say about mirror work is, like, I started like this is the basics, this. But then I evolved, and last year, no, sorry, that was like 2 years ago. 2 years ago, I started recording because a friend of mine wanted to start a YouTube channel, and then she was like, okay, like my course on how to do a YouTube channel is saying that, you know, like every day for 5 minutes you have to record yourself and then you have to watch it. And I was like, ooh, that sounds really smart. Like, I think that can do something for me too. And then I joined kind of the challenge with her, and the first month was just so fucking hard. Like, I hated my voice, and I remember, like, in my mind I would record and I would start saying things and I'd be like, God, like, I would just think that everything that I'm saying sounds really stupid, and that everything that I'm saying is just kind of, I'm not saying it well, I don't talk well enough, I don't even know what the fuck I'm thinking, like my thoughts are all over the place. And then the looks also, like, I would just imagine in my head, like while I would be talking, I would imagine in my head that it's gonna look really, really bad and that it's just gonna be terribly stupid. And then I would watch it, and by like watching it and like seeing myself, I would just like kind of like, the judgment would just kind of like melt away, and then there would be like nice moments where I'd be like, oh, this is nice, like I'm fucking cool, like I'm funny, I'm like cute, you know, like that's not too bad, you know, this is so much better than what I thought was going on in my head right as I was saying it. And I feel like, I mean, I understand that if I told most people to go and do a video, most people would be mortified. And most people that I meet, everybody wants to have a freaking channel. Everybody's like, God, I would love to have a channel, but like I can't be on camera, like this is so horrible. And the reason why we can't be on camera is because we don't accept ourselves. Like, we have so much internalized self fucking hatred, like, and I think really the only way to get past this self-hatred is to face ourselves, like to look at ourselves and come to peace with it, you know, and just be like, well, that's just who the fuck I am, you know, it's just who I am. And every one of us technically has a lot to say, right? Like, we all have a lot to say and we all have a lot to share, and there is so much good about us. So I think, like, really ultimately what you learn by doing mirror work is to focus more on what you can give. Like, who are you being in this world, right? Like, what can you actually give? So it's kind of like removing the focus from yourself and like everything that is wrong about you and everything that is limiting about you, and all the areas where you're not good enough, you're not smart enough, you're not into that, like, interesting enough, you don't have good enough ideas, you're not like creative enough, you, like, all of that isn't helping you, and all of that isn't helping anyone else, right? So it's like, it's such a fucking senseless activity. Like, understand that while you're in it, you just can't help yourself, which is why when you are in that situation, like, the best possible fucking thing that you can do for yourself is to do mirror work and to really take that power back and to be like, okay, I fucking don't care what other people think. Like, and the thing is, it's such a conundrum because other people just think what you think. So if you're thinking negative things about yourself, that's what other people are going to pick up on. So when we go, like, for example, I remember like when I went on my first Tinder date after getting divorced, and I was in such a horrific state. I was just so scared that other guys, you know, are not gonna like me, or are gonna think I'm weird, or that they're just gonna pick up on this, like, I want to say inconfidence, like total fucking lack of confidence, you know, and that they're just gonna be like, God, this girl's so lame, right? And but the thing is, like, what I was scared of is that they're gonna pick up on what is already inside me. Like, I was having so much self-denial and self, like, I don't even know what to call it, but just disapproval. Yeah, like self-disapproval. Like, I just felt like everything was just not good enough about me, you know, like no one's gonna like me. And I wasn't scared of them thinking it. They would only think it if they saw me thinking that, right? So it just makes no sense, right? Like, and then if you go out into the world and you're like, I'm good. Like, if you don't think I'm good, that's your problem. If you go out with that kind of attitude, everybody's gonna like you. So it's like, we just don't realize that it's us who are making that impulse that is emitting out into the world. So yeah, I don't know, man, this video is a bit all over the place. Let me see. I think we got to the end of it. I think that's it. I don't know if this was any good. I have no idea. But it's a tricky subject. It's a clumsy one. It's so hard, and I don't know. Like, I just kind of hope, I understand that if you're watching this and you are where I used to be, in that like worst place, you just like, oh well, but like, how do I, you know, do this? You know, just get the book and do it. It's 21 days of like facing yourself in the mirror and like looking at yourself and just going past that, you know, self-hatred, just going past all the negative thoughts that come to the surface at first, you know, and just focusing in on your eyes and remembering, you know, the sweetness that you were as a child. I mean, we're all not born hating ourselves, you know, it's all like a terribly stupid learned behavior, you know, that we pick up on because we want to integrate into society, and we just kind of pick up on the vibe that like other people, they care so much about looks, and like, oh god, like if I don't look a certain way, then I'm not going to be accepted. But nobody fucking teaches us how to counter that, you know. So it's like, sad as it is, we have to turn into adults who just don't know any better, and then you get really fucked up and desperate, and then you come to, you know, like healing, and you come to all of these different techniques, and mirror work really does work. Like, it really does work. So I highly recommend it. That's all I can say. And I don't know, I wish you all the best, and don't give up. I think that's the thing. It's like, a lot of us, you know, like you get to the solution, someone gives you the freaking book, and you're like, oh well, cool, you know, like, this sounds so fucking stupid, like, how is this gonna work? How is this actually gonna make me feel better about myself? But it does, it really does, you know, like, because you could have like the entire planet telling you that they love you, and that you're beautiful, and that you're capable, and that, you know, like, you're talented, and that everything you do is genius, and whatever, you know. You could have all of these other people say it, but if you yourself don't believe it, you're still going to be a miserable person. So ultimately it is really about kind of taking that power back and just giving it to yourself. Like, just, you know, you are the only one who can actually give you all the love and respect and admiration and love that you need. It's all in you. As tacky as these spiritual truths are, it's just true, you know. So I wish you all the best. I wish you to come out on the other side loving yourself, and, you know, being your most wonderful self, because all of us really are wonderful. It's just all of these untruths, you know, that cover up our beauty and excellence. So anyways, that's it. Thank you for watching, and I hope this was useful. And my usual drill, if you want to contact me, if you would like to coach with me, I'll link my website down below, and I will see you again next week. Have a good one. Bye.